We're going to take a break. I actually just had eye contact with Richie Sambora right out there in the green room. So we'll take a break, come back in a moment. He's going to play live in our studio in just a second or two.
Preston and Steve rock on 93.3 WMMR.
Stop paying more than you have to with your car insurance. Simply go to Cure.com or call 1-800-535-CURE. Cure Auto Insurance. Drive well.
We are excited to welcome our next guest in the studio. He's part of one of America's great rock bands of all time.
That's for sure.
Very, very successful, and is going on another solo embarkment. And in fact, tickets for his show at the Electric Factory go on sale in about 10 minutes.
That's right
now.
Today.
Ladies and gentlemen,
how's everybody?
Let's welcome him, Mr. Richie Sambora.
Good morning, Philadelphia.
How you doing, Richie?
I'm doing fantastic, man.
Excellent. Good to see you, bro.
Great to be here, man.
All right, let's get right to this. Now, we've been saying all morning you were going to play live here today, but what's going on? You can't do it?
All right, I'll play later.
Are you sure?
No.
No, like...
we'll see what happens, man.
Yeah.
You know, we'll get it together.
You were trying to... It's a vocal issue. Early in the morning, I know singers have a really hard time.
Well, listen, man, if I crack, I crack. What are you going to do?
Wow.
It's true. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's kind of reality TV right here in the studio. It doesn't matter. Hey, listen, I'm glad I don't have your job. We're 55 to the 283. There's a bottle up in a 381. You make a left on a 495. And that's all right. I can sing if you can do that.
Right. Well, Richie's new album is Aftermath on the Lowdown, and this is this your second run at a
actually my third. Yeah,
okay,
it's my third. I haven't had a solo tour in about 12 years.
Wow.
And this record just actually came out amazing, man. It's you make a record. And sometimes they either meet your expectations or some exceed your expectations or some fall below your expectations. This one exceeded my expectations.
You know what it seems to be with the albums and going back and reading through it. I mean, I guess it happens a lot in bands, and we talk about artists that go out on solo ventures, Preston, and that they want to address something that they don't get to address with the band. So they want to try a different direction. Was that the case with this?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When you're doing a solo album, obviously. You get to be the mouthpiece.
Yeah.
I'm in this great big band that I work in, and I have to basically write for John to sing. I mean, there is quite a commonality because we're only 3 years apart and we've grown up in 5 miles away from each other in New Jersey, so there's a lot of common ground that we share.
Yeah.
But, at this particular record, I wanted to make an authentic record. I didn't hear a lot of jamming going on. I left all the guitar playing and all the jamming. I had a great band on this album. So it became quite an interesting record. The reviews have been phenomenal.
Well, we've been listening this morning. We were listening to Every Road Leads Home to You. Mm-hmm. And at first listen, it really has a more orchestral, big, melodic sound, and I don't know if artists cringe.
Why, thank you.
You're welcome. Now, I don't know if artists cringe when you make comparisons to other musicians or other bands, but we were kind of like, that kind of has like a Coldplay feel to it almost.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Basically what happens is, especially when you're doing a solo album, you kind of pick up as much stylistic diversity, I think, as you can. On this particular record, man, I covered a myriad of styles. Lyrically, I covered a myriad of subjects, but it all holds together as a record. Mm-hmm. Because when I grew up, I grew up listening to albums.
Sure, yeah.
This record kind of has a journey within the record. I think that's important.
You don't see that a lot these days. It's because of the iTunes generation. You can jump in and pick and select.
It's a singles-driven generation, absolutely.
I wonder, Richie, if you went in, because it's the default reaction a lot of times. Hey, they're doing a solo thing. Oh, really? You know what I'm saying? When you hear another artist doing a solo project, do you are you intrigued, or do you do the same thing? Because it's a knee-jerk reaction, I think, from a lot of people.
Absolutely, because they kind of want to put you in the same box.
Yeah.
But I think that honestly. Also with me, I've been a lead singer in every band I was in before Bon Jovi.
Right.
And so people, I think, have a perception of me as just a guitar player. And I think that this record's going to change some people's perception.
I think I can peg the moment, though, that I think most of America realize, hey, this Richie Sambora is more than just a great guitar player. And it's when you and John, and it might have been on MTV, you did an acoustic version of Wanted Dead or Alive.
Yeah.
And you did the backup part, which has a little solo moment there where you really wail. And that also kind of opened up the door for a lot of acoustic performances. MTV Unplugged didn't exist until you guys did that.
We started Unplugged Unplugged. I remember reading in Billboard magazine, but that was a funny experience because we were playing this, the MTV awards show.
Right.
And at the time, it's like, there's Whitney Houston and Madonna and Prince and this and that and the other thing, and John and I. And you walk in there, and technically it is a cluster F. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they're going to move all the mics.
That's a technical term. Yeah.
Technical term. And, so you got these union guys in there, and they're, they don't really care. They're just smoking cigarettes. And they're moving the board. They're not mixing properly, and all that other stuff. So I said to John, I said, if we just played acoustically, we would cut down the variables. You got 2 acoustics and 2 mics. And it would also show the men between the boys. Yeah. Because, they were putting us into this hair band thing, which we're absolutely not. We're just like, so doing that, it really changed people's perception on that also. And then Unplugged went on to say that, due to these guys, we're going to start this series Unplugged. And the problem is it's like 20 some odd years later, and I never got a check.
Right.
How many records did they put out?
A ton.
Rod Stewart Unplugged.
Nirvana. One of the
Clapton sold like 20 zillion records.
That's right. LL Cool J.
Get no check, man.
By the way, at that moment though, did somebody in the record company after you did it was kind of like, hey kid, you want to make a record? You want to do a solo thing?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Well, nobody knew, and I honestly, I have another career outside the band. And that's kind of cool. I mean, I got to be in the luckiest position ever. I mean, I'm in this great big band. I mean, our last tour was 52 countries in 18 and a half months, and we had the biggest tour on the planet. Yeah. And then I get to do what I want to do here artistically, but there's a lot of commercial stuff on this record. I mean, I can't get away from who I am. Well, also, I didn't get inducted to the Songwriters Hall of Fame for nothing.
That's right. Congratulations. But we were listening early, and it was we were like, we were doing a lot of prep before the show, and a lot of stuff's going on, and it was playing. We're like, who is this? It sounded really good, and that's a good sign when it'll stop you from doing what you're doing, so you focus in on the music.
Thank you.
With talking about doing, the difference between some solo artists or an artist goes out and does something solo. Sometimes you get the feeling that they are, they carry a grudge, that they're beholding to the band. You love the band and you love the solo stuff. And I think that's the difference with the way you approach it. These solo albums are an expression of just interests and ways you want to go, as opposed to, I need to be me.
Yeah, what the thing is? It's, I'm a working musician. I think anytime you're a working musician, you're happy. Yeah. When you're a working musician at my level, if you don't understand that and have gratitude for that opportunity, you're pretty much a butthole.
Is that your official quote in these?
Yeah, man. Let's face it. You know what I mean? I mean, I get to walk out on stage in front of 60, 70,000 people on a nightly basis in 52 countries all over the world.
And that does not go unnoticed to you.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And then, I'll come to a theater in these local towns and get to play my stuff. And I think people are really, really happy to see me, because I don't come around that often. But this record was such a fun record for me to make, and it's rocking. There's a lot of playing on this record. I get to do stuff that I don't normally do in the context of the band, obviously.
Yeah. As a working musician, you get to branch out, you get to collaborate, and I read an article yesterday that you and John Bon Jovi worked recently with Big and Rich, and were helping to put them a record with them. And I read it was a really funny story because they wanted to name it a certain thing, and then there were some copyright infringement laws. Do you know the story that I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Can you explain to the listeners what happened?
Well, basically, I think we ended up with we started to write with Big and Rich, who are dear friends of ours, and those guys are crazy mofos. And they're a lot of fun. So, and we had written a song with them a few albums back called We Got It Going On our record. And so they're getting back together because they had a little feud, and they're back together now, and they love each other. And so we started writing with them, and we wrote this song called Born Again, and it's the title track to their record now. So then there was a thing called Hillbilly Jedis. Is that it?
Yeah.
Was that the line that we had a problem with?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we came up with this one song, You Guys Are Hillbilly Jedis, and everybody's going to come. And I guess there was a copyright infringement thing going on.
You couldn't use Jedi?
Right. So John whips out his cell phone and calls George Lucas. And George Lucas says, okay, you can call it Hillbilly Jedis. and now that's but apparently
it's the power of the bond.
Yeah. But apparently George Lucas's one stipulation was you can't call them Jedis.
Sexual favors?
No, Jedi is the plural of Jedi. So it's Hillbilly Jedi. Not with no S on the end of it. And then now they named the record that.
I love it.
Isn't that great?
That's a lot of power when you can pick up the blower and get George Lucas on the phone.
George Lucas, please.
Yeah.
Can I have Nelson Mandela? It's Richie Sambora, really. I have some banking information I'd like to give them. Oh, God.
You mentioned those guys. They had a feud. How have you guys been able to stay together so long? And I'm sure you've had feuds, but nothing major that would break the band up.
No, I mean, I think that we looked at it once again, I mean, spirituality for me is like not taking things for granted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, that's so key.
You got to look at the bigger picture, really. You know what I mean? So, if you're going to be little girls about things, no offense.
Yeah.
It's okay.
No offense, Kathy. But if you are going to be like little girls about stuff and you're going to argue about little stuff, it's not going to get you anywhere, man.
Yeah.
And when you're with guys together in close quarters for as many years as we've been together, you learn when to back off. Somebody's having a bad day. I mean, we've been through everything together. Births, deaths, divorce, I mean, you name it. We are a band of brothers. We are a family, and we just kind of look at it as that.
Well, and you guys all do your own thing, too. David's been very successful on Broadway,
successful.
right?
God bless him.
Yeah, and he's a great guy, too. And Tico has his clothing line, his kids line, and all that stuff.
Art, everything,
As far as music goes, when it's time for you to do a project, or David or John even on his own, is there a band meeting? Do you call somebody up and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, just want to give you a heads up?
Not really. You know, it's like we got off the road. We were on the road for 18 and a half months.
Yeah.
A little too much?
Surprisingly, in the state of mind that I'm in now compared to 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I was energized, and I just said to myself, I should start throwing down now. So I started to just write some songs and see where it was going. And after about 5 songs, I said, this record, it sounds like it's going to be a record. Let's go in the studio and start cutting. And it started to come out so good. And I was thrilled, so we just kept on going, and lo and behold, Aftermath of the Lowdown.
When you select who's going to be in the studio with you, is it buddies, friends, somebody who you
my producer and good friend Luke Eben selected a bunch of these guys for me, and I was thrilled to have them. I mean, I got some amazing musicians. Aaron Sterling, who was just playing drums, who's just playing with John Mayer, but he's been a session musician in L.A. and just a killer.
Cool.
Matt Rowlands out of Nashville is a keyboard player, has been playing with Dire Straits and Lyle Lovett and a bunch of other people.
Are these going to be your touring guys?
Yeah, they're all coming on the road with me, too. An eclectic bunch. Kurt Schneider on bass, who's played with Sting, and he's just a session guy. He also mixed a bunch of songs on this record. So really great stuff.
Your first show to promote Aftermath of the Lowdown is going to be at the
October
Electric Factory.
18th at the Electric Factory.
What's it like playing the first show of a tour? That first night out? A little nervous, or you've obviously rehearsed and got it together.
No, at this point, I've been doing this for like a long time. I walk out there and I'm very, very excited. And when you have a band behind me and you have a good wealth of material to choose from, you kind of walk out there with a lot of confidence. And, it's like I kind of look at when the people come to see me, everybody wants to see you do good.
Yes.
So all you kind of do is kind of tap into that energy, really. I think that's what comes on.
Let me ask you about Aftermath of the Lowdown. What is the meaning of that?
Well, basically, this record did, it ended up when I started to write the songs, of looking back over the last, 7-8 years of my life. And, I wanted to make an authentic record, and when you give somebody the lowdown, you're telling them the truth.
Yeah.
And I think that's I wanted, most artists maybe would want to shun away from some of those.
You're talking about demons that you've beaten in your life?
Absolutely, yeah. And I go there, and I think that was a part of it, wanting to be authentic and make a truthful record. I think people are going to be able to relate to that. I've been good at writing lyrics in my career that were songs about me that kind of transferred in a very, very universal level. And I think that's what these songs do, and
it's cathartic. It has to be, right?
Absolutely cathartic. Absolutely cathartic.
I wonder if a musician opens up like that in a song, their personal life, about demons they've either battled or maybe a party lifestyle they used to have but don't anymore. If you years later play that song and you're a different person, then how that if that affects you at all.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
No, it's I'm a different person now from that. And a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about happened 5 years ago. I mean, everybody has their human experiences, whether it's divorce or you lose a parent or you lose somebody you love, and all those kind of things happen. So you're battling some substance abuse, this, that, and the other thing. And I decided to kind of I would have been remiss not to talk about that stuff, but the record is not a downer. No, it's more of a joy and a triumph of coming out on the other side of that stuff, So that's what it's about.
Hey, and speaking of all those things, I have to say, we get a lot of rock stars that come in here, and you can see that their lifestyle has taken a toll on their body. I have to say, I'm really impressed by the way you look.
There you go.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Nice. Looking pretty good,
guns there, brother.
Yeah.
No, I've taken it very seriously. I mean, you know what? To be my age, to be my age and get out there and tour for the extensive amount of tour that I do, and wanting to be great every night, you got to be in shape, man. You got to really take it seriously. I look at it as almost like athletic.
Look at friggin' Jagger, man. The dude bounds around on stage
man.
like a panther.
I mean, come on. It's unbelievable. He works out. He has to.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just no doubt about it. So now, it's a whole kind of different regimen. Before it was a very different regimen.
It was a different regimen.
My diet was a lot different. And I'm not talking about food either.
No, I was going to say the same thing about you, but I asked Kathy to do it because it was just going to sound a little weird for me telling you that you look great. Now, what is your favorite song that you've written?
That's a tough. They're all my kids, but I mean, anytime.
Everybody's got a favorite kid, though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Every time you write a song that actually connects with the masses, I think that's basically when you're a songwriter, you're trying to communicate at the end of the day. And like I said, when you write something about you. I mean, living on a prayer, stuff like that has to be something that has transcended throughout the years and has morphed and still is living. He wrote it in 1986. So
yeah, but don't you love it when somebody comes up and says, "Hey, man, my name's Tommy. This is my wife Gina. Yeah. How cool is this?
It's got to be cool. Yeah, it's great.
It's like, really?
But you were younger.
You were writing about me, and I go, "Yes, I was."
No, I'm not Richie Sambora.
I was in your backyard, and you didn't even know.
But it's crazy because you were younger back then, and
I was.
You had less perspective than you do now. So do those words mean just as much today to you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know what happened? It was the first time that John and I ever used characters in a situation. Because basically at that point in time when we wrote Slippery When Wet, really, we kind of knew what it was like to be on the road and, be like animals.
Yeah.
That's what we knew, women in the road. That's what kind of like we knew. And that's kind of what we wrote about. And with this particular song, we tapped into our blue collar, growing up in New Jersey and the blue collar stuff. And we started writing about, Tommy and Gina. And basically, we all were Tommy and Gina at some point in our lives. Mm-hmm. Everybody. We all had that Tommy
Everyone
and
connects,
yeah. We all had that Tommy and Gina moment, So I think that was the important part about it. And that was kind of like a enlightenment and a revolution for us at that point because we just said, oh, this is what songwriting is about. It's the relatable subject matter that happened. You know what I mean?
That was the epiphany?
So now, I mean, basically, even with my Aftermath of the Lowdown, all the stuff that I was writing about is things that, even a song like Every Road Leads Home to You, it's everybody has a home that they desire to come home to. It could be, for me, it was my daughter at the time that I was writing about. It could be your husband, your wife, your girlfriend, could be just your house, could be your dog,
Yeah.
It could be maybe you were lost inside yourself and you want to come home to who you really are. So in essence, that was a metaphor for what everybody is feeling. So here again, a very personal subject that I was addressing became a universal subject. I found that a lot of my stuff on this record turns out to be everybody's stuff.
Yeah.
We all kind of go through that stuff.
Kathy and Casey wanted to compliment you on your looks, and they're right. You're very attractive. I wanted to compliment you on your
my penis.
Your penis.
Thank you.
Invariably, Nick will get there.
I was going to say talent. but perhaps they fall under the same umbrella. No, your genuine kindness, because I've been lucky enough to meet you a couple of times. You've had a nice long relationship with this radio station.
Oh man, you guys have been great to me forever.
About 10 years ago, I used to work for Pierre Robert, and you and John and the band did an acoustic session across the hall. And there was a moment in time where you guys were doing the sound check, and the only two people in the room were you and me. And you were warming up on the double neck guitar, and you looked over at me. And first of all, I was blown away at how good of a guitar player you are.
Can I see your penis?
That's when it happens.
Just a little later.
But it was funny because you looked at me, and I thought that there must be somebody else in the room, because you looked and smiled, and I looked behind me, and I'm like, Richie's got to be looking at somebody else. And it was just a nice little moment for me that I've never forgotten. Kathy tells a story about her and her husband, and I just wanted to ask you about your relationship with Philly in particular, and this radio station. Why do you think you have such a great connection? And I don't know, it seems genuine on both ends.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it goes back many, many years. I was playing here with a band called Duke Williams and the Extremes, and I was an extreme when I was a kid. And, so I started out playing clubs here when I was about 19 years old.
Wow.
And then the next time I was in the relationship with the city, I lived here when we made 7,800 degrees Fahrenheit with Obi over here at Obi's studio for the most part, and it was one of the craziest fun times I've ever had in my life.
What year was that?
That was 85, I guess, something like that.
Wow.
When I lived here. So I lived here for a good half a year, and I had just a blast. And then, obviously, Slippery hits, and then we started, the Spectrum, I used to come to concerts here at RFK Stadium all the time when I was a kid. JFK, rather. Yeah. And the Spectrum constantly. Mm-hmm. And then we started to play the Spectrum. I think we played like 6 nights in a row or something. Wow. So we got this award and all this other stuff. Then John and I, bought the football team, the Soul here. We started that. And, the relationship with the city has been very, very special. And obviously with MMR, I mean, that's what I think about when I come into Philadelphia.
Richie's going to be playing the Electric Factory coming up on October 18th. Tickets are on sale.
Yes, please come and see me. It's going to be a gas, man. I'm going to play a lot of songs off the record, off my prior solo record, some Bon Jovi stuff that I'm going to turn into my stuff.
Well, here's what I'd like to propose to you, sir.
Yes, sir.
We can take a commercial break and come back and play a track off of the new album.
I'll try it. We'll see.
No, I mean I'll play from the CD.
Thank you.
And then would you like to play?
After that.
There's the bargain.
That was our foreplay.
We'll see. We'll let you think about it in a moment.
No problem.
We'll take a break and we'll come back.
You're listening to Preston and Steve on 93.3 WMMR. MMR rocks now.
Hey, everybody, it's good to have you on the
Pierre would be here.
He would be here.
If he were in town to hang out with Richie.
Yeah,
but
I know.
not.
He's on vacation, right?
Yeah.
Up in Tahoe.
Yeah, he said he's going to come to New York and visit me, and we're going to do a little interview up there.
When you want him to come there, Richie, make sure you tell him, allow about a day and a half ahead of time so he arrives exactly on time. Right. If you want him there on Thursday, say, I need you here on Tuesday.
He wrote me a very long and concerned text last night making sure that we treated you well. And I was like, how else would we treat
Right.
Thank you, guys.
Can I just say something on that on the song?
Yeah.
The litmus test is I want to hear that song in my car. And I think that's always a good.
Yeah.
It's always, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I want to go listen to that in my car because there's songs about going home, and as you said, whatever's home for you. There's a great Pat Metheny song called "Last Train Home," an instrumental piece. And that's such a great universal feeling.
Yeah, it's like when I was writing, I was thinking about my kid.
Yeah.
I got your picture on my phone. Your voice in my head. I'm lying here alone, restless in a faraway bed. The stars are falling down, and I'm half a world away. I'm just trying to close the distance, to feel each breath that you take. And the bridge is burning and I'm losing my faith. I'm trying to find my way towards the truth. Like a wild eye flying, now I'm blindly running from everything I thought I knew. Every road leads home to you. Home to you. So, you know.
That's a beautiful song, dude.
Love it.
What a
Chills,
great
man.
melody, too.
Yeah.
How did she react when you told her that song was about her?
Oh, man, I have a pretty cool relationship with my kid. And the worst thing about what I do, my job, is having to leave her.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm just glad I heard the album version first because when I hear acoustic things first before I hear the actual album version, I don't like the album version as much anymore. And I'm sure you write everything acoustically first.
Oh yeah.
And then
You know what? I write very, very simply. I have done for years because I really believe that you can't polish a turd.
A turd.
Yeah,
We polish a turd every day here. For 5 hours, we polish away.
But there's something about that one man with a guitar that is just so
it
appealing.
really is
The troubadour.
It's the test.
It proves the men between the boys. I mean, when I was coming up in this business, that's all I did was I played acoustic gigs on the Mondays and Tuesday nights where I couldn't book the band. The club owners couldn't afford the band, so I would just go out and do it this way. And it really taught me a lot, man. It really taught you a lot.
That's cool. You had mentioned, Rich, we were talking off air for just a moment before we got going, that you still drive your daughter to school?
Every day, man.
Every day, really?
Absolutely.
And she's 15 years old?
15 years old. She's just about getting to drive, man. I just was kind of freaked out on the way here.
Dude, will you drive my kids to school? That'd be so cool.
I got to imagine that school has the highest amount of moms driving their kids to school.
Really?
Wow. Hey, before we get another song from you, I want to invite probably the biggest rock and roll fan in the world that I know. He's our overnight jock, Jackie Bam Bam, who's been hanging around. He was all nervous. I said, get over here. Is there anything you wanted? You love interviewing rock stars.
Jackie.
Richie.
Is there anything you wanted to ask him? Or
I do want to ask you. You mentioned the brand new album. You got a lot of studio musicians on it, and your last album, you work with Don Was. You work with the late great Billy Preston. Any big names on this album? You mentioned some studio cats, but
it's actually there are studio guys, but they're live guys too. Everybody has went out and played with some really quality people. Between Dire Straits and Sting, and they do road stuff and everything. But the interesting thing about these guys is that we became a band first song. It was unbelievable.
It's hard to get that, right? You knew from experience. You pick a band that automatically gels, but that's when in just the nature of things. When bands are being put together, that's the hardest part is getting synergy.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, and not only that, studio guys are known amongst people who do this for a living as pretty much the best that there are because they can play almost anything. And a lot of names you'll never know are some of the greatest musicians in the world.
Absolutely.
And I would imagine from time to time you sit down with one of those guys, you're kind of like, wow, that guy's a lot better than I am.
Well, you know what? Everybody, I think when you get to my stage of the game, everybody has their strengths, and for me, if I play from my heart and from my soul, I can play with anybody.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to do with technique.
Right.
You know what I mean? It more has to do with where it's coming from.
Yeah.
Is that the hardest part when you're learning to play the instrument and at your level, when does it kick in that you are able to serve as the instrument simply becomes a conduit for what you're feeling?
Yeah, right. It just kind of your heart and your soul come through your fingers and your voice, obviously. It takes a little while to get to that place, but it happened early for me. Lucky I was in my teens.
Oh, that's cool.
All right, so like a basketball player on a professional level, every now and again they have a bad game where they can't hit a jump shot. Does that happen to musicians?
For me, the only time it really happens is if I'm sick.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I do everything. I'll take whatever steroids or whatever it takes. I become an athlete at that point to get to run the marathon. You do whatever you have to do because you got 70,000 people that paid good money to come see you, and you better be good.
That has to be because we do a thing every year, and you guys have supported it. It's the Camp Out for Hunger. It's the big food charity drive that we do, and invariably I lose my voice. But I think you're going to walk out in front of 70,000 people, and your voice isn't up to snuff. What is your cure-all? What is your, all right, I'm going to do this and get the voice back?
Well, there's a ton of things you have to do.
Okay.
There's a ton of things you have to do to maintain your voice, and one of them is warm up, and another one is warm down, just like if you're working out.
Yeah.
The voice is a muscle.
Yeah.
If need be, and there's also obviously, teas, and you got to eat the right stuff. There's a discipline to it. Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, are you warmed up?
Yeah, baby.
All right, what do you want to play for us, Rich?
I'll play another song called Taking a Chance on the Wind, and I think it's a song about taking risks, and a lot of people ask me on this record, like, hey, Richie, you don't need to do this. Why are you doing this? You should be messing around with your sailboat,
Right.
But I said it would have been a risk not for me to do this, and this song is kind of like about freedom, too.
Okay.
So it's called Taking a Chance on a Win.
Richie Sambora, everybody.
Thank you. Lately it's been raining, but today's my lucky day. The faith I put in my pocket is the only thing that didn't get washed away. I was making confession, was this is where I start. Every heartache's a blessing, every knockdown was a spot. Every knockdown was a spark. Yes, it is. Tearing down all my troubles, setting fire to all my sins. It's been way too long and I'm moving it on again. Doubling down on freedom, everything I believe in. I'm raising my flag and taking a chance on the win. Yeah, raising my flag and taking a chance on the win. Time taught me a lesson, don't dwell on the past. 'Cause the bad things fade and the good things are built to last. When love comes easy, like a fairy tale make-believe. When you find it all and you're ready to fall, there's only one remedy. Yeah, only one remedy. Yes, it is. Tearing down all my troubles, setting fire to all my sins. It's been way too long and I'm moving it on again. Doubling down on freedom, everything I believe in. I'm raising my flag and taking a chance on the win. Yeah, raising my flag and taking a chance. Yeah, yeah. On the win. Raising my flag on the win. Ooh, 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 ooh. Yeah, yeah, come on, taking a chance on the win. Yes, I am blue.
Outstanding. You know what? And I just it's that New Jersey sound. You know what I mean?
It's real.
You know what I'm saying? It's for real. There's a lot of heart in there.
Yeah, baby.
And it's pretty damn awesome. Richie's new album is called Aftermath of the Lowdown. The tour is coming through Philly. First stop right here at the Electric Factory.
Absolutely.
Man, excited.
That's a
about
great
it.
room, too. It's awesome.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And RichieSambora.com, and you're on Twitter as well, and all that stuff.
At the Real Sambora.
At the Real Sambora.
It was really funny, man. Before I got on I had to get on Twitter, man. I was like, kind of like not into it, but now I kind of like it a lot. But there was like 30 people as me on Twitter. I was doing stuff that I'm like, I didn't do any of that.
At least not for a while.
The Real Sambora. So we'll put a link to that on PrestonandSteve.com.
Sweet me, cats.
Yeah, man. Awesome. Rich, thanks for stopping by, man.
My pleasure, guys. You guys
good,
always
man.
been great to me. God bless you. I love it. Come and see me.
All right, Richie Sambora.